You are listening to the Young Black Travelers podcast, Black voices conversing in experiential travel, dedicated to a global community of travelers. So be bold, be inspired, be spontaneous. We are YBT.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Young Black Travelers. I'm here with my girl, Osasu. I'm going to have her introduce herself in a bit, but my name is Simone. I'm one of the podcast hosts, and I'm so excited for us to be sharing about her recent travel. And we can't wait to get into it, but she is no stranger to us. And so just reintroduce yourself to the people.
Hi, YBT community. My name's Osasu. I'm an OBGYN that practice out in Long Island. I am a proud YBT member. Um, you know, I've always loved to travel to different countries. Um, so that's how me and Asher essentially kind of bonded and connected as well. Um, so I had recently had a baby moon. And I'll share what that means. Baby moon is kind of like a honeymoon for your child to be while it's for expecting moms. So I'll share my experience with that. I'm also a proud owner of the Menstrua tea. So basically, it's a herbal, all natural tea that's supposed to help with menstrual related symptoms such as cramping, reduce flow, as well as just minimize fatigue during your period. So, ladies, if you want more of a naturopathic remedies for your cycles, and it can be drinking at any time, but specifically for your cycles,
Yeah.
let me know. I can hook you guys up.
I love that. I probably have to talk to you offline. But yeah, let's get into it. I know you recently you went to Mauritius, as you said, for your baby moon. So that is exciting. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your newborn. That's exciting. And so I want people to know kind of your experience doing that and to know like no matter what your stage is, right, in your womanhood, you are able to enjoy travel, right? It's not, oh,
Yeah.
I'm pregnant, I can't travel anymore, or I just had a baby, I can't travel. But there's ways to do that. And so I'm really excited to kind of get into that kind of conversation.
Sure.
So we are gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. So again, we're talking with Asasu on her recent baby moon. I just learned this term. Trip to Mauritius. And why did you think Mauritius was the best place for this? Like, why? Tell us why.
I've always actually wanted to travel to Mauritius because they're known for their underwater waterfall. And I said I have to experience this or see this at least once in my life. So I
Yeah.
figured this was a good opportunity for my husband and I to kind of see and explore that. So that's the only reason why. Um,
Yes.
I just
Okay.
wanted to see and experience that.
So what is that? Is it something that you go under? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Actually, Mauritius on the southern, I think the southern eastern coast. Like Mauritius, is like a collection of different islands, as many islands are.
Mhm.
Um, but on the southern eastern coast, there's basically like a very interesting phenomenon where because the water is so clear, you can kind of
Mhm.
see the mountain tops or the mountain peaks of
Mhm.
different hills and valleys underwater. And you can see the
Oh.
water gradient going down into the bottom of the ocean floor
Mhm.
at sea level or above sea level. So you can, and again, because the water is so clear, because it's so
Right.
clean pollution, you can kind of
That's
see that
beautiful.
phenomenon happen. And when you travel on the seaplane. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And I think Mauritius is the only island that has this experience or has this phenomenon.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I have to go see that for myself.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What was your first reaction like? What was those feelings, emotions going on inside of you when you, since that was the thing you went for?
Well, unfortunately I wasn't able to actually see it myself just
Yeah.
because it was just so booked out. So I will say, if you are
Okay.
looking to experience that, definitely plan ahead. They are
Okay.
booked out because again, a lot of people go to Mauritius for this specific excursion. Um, that they book out like 3 months in advance. So if you
Okay.
want to see this underwater waterfall, definitely plan ahead.
Okay.
Um, but I was very I would have imagined that it would be very beautiful. Like um
Breathtaking, I'm sure.
it was just like the pictures is just so unreal. So
Yes.
I can only imagine that it would be equally as unreal in real time.
Of course, of course. And so I kind of want to go into a little bit about the trip. You were pregnant at this point, right? And so how was that? Like, can you tell the travelers who people who might be pregnant and what it's like to be pregnant and traveling? How did you prepare yourself? Was it different than how you would have prepared if you weren't? Like, tell us a little, walk us through that. Like, what are some tips and advice for those travelers who are
I would
pregnant?
definitely say please speak with your OBGYN. Let them know if there's any travel concerns or plans or trips to discuss with them just to make sure that it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, it's safe to travel the first no later than the second trimester.
Uh-huh.
But definitely, again, discuss with your OBGYN because everyone has their own specific, health concerns and
Correct.
risks specific to that pregnancy. So just let them know if there's any vaccinations, for example, that you need to take, if there's any additional precautions that you need to take, so that both you and your OBGYN are on the same page. So I'm going to
Right.
preface that. Um, but I actually traveled to Nigeria first,
Okay.
so that me and my husband can travel to Mauritius or meet up
Together.
at Mauritius rather.
Okay.
So the hour it took about we did a stopover in South Africa for a couple of hours, but the total trip was about 14 hours.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say specifically if you're pregnant, of course, you want to try to walk around as much as you can, probably every 2 hours or so.
Mhm.
Just take a quick trip up and down the hall, up and down the aisle, um,
Yeah.
to decrease your risk of having like any blood clots, for example. I took a baby aspirin just because, again,
Okay.
there is an increased risk of clotting specifically in pregnancy. So I took a baby
Mhm.
aspirin to try to reduce that or
Oh,
mitigate the
that's good.
case. But walking should suffice. Walking up and down the aisle should suffice. So you just want to kind
Hmm.
of keep moving in general. And
Hmm.
again,
Okay.
um, for specific to Mauritius, you have to have I think a yellow fever vaccination. I already took already when I went to Zanzibar, but I
Okay.
think that's one of the requirements for you to go to Mauritius. So just again, just double check with your OBGYN to see if there's any specific vaccinations that you're just
Right.
that you need to take beforehand and if it's safe for you to take in pregnancy. Um, but yeah, so that's I think those are the general tips. Of course, keep hydrated. You want to drink
Mhm.
between 2 to 3 liters of water a day. Keep your legs elevated and just walk around as much as you can. Those would be the risks. Those would be the tips I would say would be most beneficial, especially when you're traveling.
Love that. Thank you, doctor. And so you heard it from the doctor herself. The tips that you need to have, especially if you're pregnant and thinking about travel. Those are really good advice in general. So thank you for that. So how was Mauritius? Like, what were some of the things you got to experience and enjoy? Like, I know that's one of the places for me to visit. So I'm curious. Tell the
Yeah,
people.
Mauritius is gorgeous. Um, I would think, I think the closest thing that I related to would be Zanzibar in terms of like
Mhm.
the culture, the feel, the beach. The beaches are amazing.
Yes.
Um, it's a it don't have one international airport. It's on the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
We went to two parts of the islands. We stayed at, I think it's called Blue Bay, and we stayed at Bel Ombre. So it's like
Okay.
in the south, in the southeast, and we went up northeast as well. Yeah, so we
Yeah.
kind of along the coast. I would say I was very surprised by the Indian and Chinese influences that kind of dominated the
Yes.
Mauritius island. Yeah, I was very surprised like to see um just how you can see those influences in kind of like everyday culture because it's on the East Africa, right? So I was expecting
Right.
more like more African or Afrocentric like influences, but it wasn't the case. It was like very there was a lot of like like Hindu and
Mhm.
actually Buddhist influences like that I saw
Mhm.
throughout like the countryside and driving along the road. So I was impressed by that. I think
Yeah.
that was
So
the thing, yeah.
what was that? What were some of the influences that you did get to see that
In terms of
surprised?
like kind of like the trinkets and stuff that they sell like at the airport, for example.
Mhm.
It had like a lot of like the Buddha praying hands,
Ah,
elephant influences. They actually had like pictures and flags with the mission
okay.
flag, but also with like Hindu and I guess gods and goddesses. So I was like, oh okay, I wasn't um I just never expected it. It was a surprise to me. And also
Yeah, no.
that were indigenous to Mauritius. They again like they looked very I don't know for like all my New Yorkers out there, they kind of look like guy Guyanese.
Got okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, okay, that was it was just very interesting. I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, I think that's kind of the beauty with travel as well, like how it disrupts our perception and
Right.
of like what we think we're about to experience and what we kind of know to be what we think to be true about where we're gonna go. If you go to an Asian country, you're like, okay, I'm expecting this, or you go to
Hmm.
an African country, I'm expecting like we have what we assume and it kind of disrupts that. So I kind of love that with travel. Like you see the
Absolutely.
influences and the movements of people. Cause I was talking to you, and so I was like, let me look up Mauritius a little bit, and I learned that myself. I was like, oh, they have a lot of Indians there, like indentured Indians came
Yeah.
there and kind of stayed, kind of like Guyana.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Guyana has a lot of Indian influence into the culture. And so like you see that in the people, how they appear, the clothing and the holidays. So I
Hmm.
love that about travel and it just like the unexpected. You're like, oh, okay.
Absolutely. Like you said, it disrupts your expectations. Like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, that's pretty cool. Did you see that in the food as well and like the clothing, the architecture? Like were you able to see that?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I kind of stayed around the resort a little bit more, so of course it's like
Okay.
a little bit more like Americanized, but um they did have like a lot of traditional Indian foods, and a lot of again like Chinese food,
Mhm.
fries, noodles, Singapore noodles, stuff of that nature. So similar to what I would can get like in New York, because again, like New York is like a melting pot. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm
Right.
familiar with this, familiar with that, familiar or
Yeah.
not familiar, you know. So it's like, um, it was again, it was just cool to see that in
Mhm.
Mauritius.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would you say the food, the Indian and like Chinese food is better in New York or what you got on the resort?
No,
Like
I think New
quality
York.
wise.
I think New York is more authentic. I think
Yeah, okay.
New York,
That's fair.
it's gonna be.
That's fair.
um, they appear to different palates.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But I think, yeah, if you want traditional ethnic foods, you're more likely to find it in New York than maybe at a resort. So I think,
Of course. Okay. Of
yeah.
course. Of course. Yeah. Sometimes though they be stepping up and surpassing
Sometimes
our
sometimes I'm like, okay, this is seasoned. This is
I
good.
know. You're like, okay. This is nice. No, that's good. I love that. So kind of like talk a little bit about you were on two resorts, right?
Mhm.
And so what did that look like in terms of travel for you? Like what kind of traveler would you say you are? And
Mm,
how did this baby moon, right? I got it right.
yeah, yeah.
How did this baby moon experience differ from the type of traveler you are, especially in terms of like thinking about it from a resort perspective and what you were able to do?
Um, well, typically, I'm more of a explore everything everywhere at all times, do every activity. I pack an itinerary for each day.
Yes.
Um, but with this trip, we were a little bit more relaxed, so we did like a little bit more like beach days and like spa stuff.
Right.
But we did have like we did take an excursion, like a day or two for excursions. We were there for like 8 days.
Okay.
So we did take like a day or two for excursions. But again, like the beaches are amazing. They're beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
we went there, I think, at the tail end of the rainy season. So those
Hmm.
couple days that rained, so it kind of just gave us excuse to just stay indoors or stay on the resort. But
Yeah.
no, the beaches are gorgeous. They're clear. Again, it's part of the Indian Ocean's like gorgeous
Yes.
ocean,
Oh,
you know.
nice.
Um,
Beautiful.
but this one, with this particular trip, we were
Hmm.
more relaxed. Just kind of stayed around the resort. But on the days that we did go, we went
Hmm.
to this, and I will say, if you do go to Mauritius, you should go here. It's called the Seven Color Valley,
Okay.
or it's called um La Vallée de Couleur.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
so again, there's a lot of like interesting like even though they have like a lot of Indian and Chinese influences, a lot of
Mhm.
their language is in French. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like yeah, so a lot of the things are in French. So like the La Vallée de Couleur, I'm like, oh okay,
Okay.
maybe where
All
they
right.
but this is it's a beautiful basically like a it's at the base of kind of like mini volcanoes
Okay.
and many waterfalls. You can like travel to different sites. You can do bike riding, four wheels. They have the longest zip line there
Ooh,
in the Indian Ocean. So it's really I
cool.
tell and I recommend it if you do go to Mauritius, go to
Yeah.
the Seven Color Valley.
Oh, love that. Taking notes on where to go while in Mauritius. And I know you said you did 2 days. So was there another thing that you were able to do? 2 days
Yeah,
of excursion?
so we were able to drive into the city to kind of
Okay.
get a more historical outlook of the city. I think we went to Port Louis de Martis, I believe.
Hmm.
So we went to kind of to see like the government buildings. Again, it's I was surprised by how many hills there were even in the city area. So we
Okay.
walked up and down the hills, and we went to like the little shops.
Let's show
Again, there
exercise.
was like a mini like Chinatown and a mini Indian like streets or like local shops. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like it's consistent. Like the theme is really
Okay.
consistent throughout the island. So I was like, oh wow, this is really really nice. Um, and they have like a lot of statues of different like generals that kind of colonize, not colonize, but
Hmm.
uh no, it is colonization.
Oh, yeah.
Colonize,
It's what
colonize
it is.
periods of the time. Yeah, different periods of her. So it was interesting. Like they still have a lot of reverence and respect for the generals that kind of established
Hmm.
community and civilization there.
Oh, okay. It's always interesting to see what the local think about that period of like colonization and if there
Hmm.
was enslavement on the island
Yeah.
and how do they process what took place. And like even you're like thinking how is the education being taught, right?
Right.
And what does that look like? Because that does influence patriotism
Oh, of course. Yeah.
and how what people believe in and how they perceive where they are. But then there's that idea of just nationalism and finding kind of like that, the respect for the improvements if they felt like there was improvements in that time. So it is, I always enjoy like learning about that also. Like I recently did a cruise and went to the Dutch islands.
Mm,
Um, and so seeing that relationship between them and the Netherlands and how people communicate about it is like outsiders might be like, oh, colonization,
mhm.
no, wrong. And then they're like, well, this might have been bad, but this was also a
Right.
positive
Understood.
people got from it.
Yeah. I think a lot of it also deals with kind of how the countries in retrospect are being ran, or how they survive. Like a lot of Mauritius is based on tourism, right?
Okay.
Islands or countries that have like a lot of their like jobs and revenues based on tourism. I think they're not going to be as
Critical.
correct critical of because they want people to come. They
Yeah.
enjoy like people
A
coming.
lot of the people who are coming is probably from those still countries.
Exactly. Yes, so, like a lot of people either come from India or actually what I've learned,
Friend.
at least in my experience, a lot of like retired couples from America and
Okay.
France and the UK actually vacation a lot on
Okay.
so it's definitely like a retirement vacation destination. So I think they welcome it because
Yeah.
that's how they survive.
Right. Okay. So that's good to know. Actually, and to be able to just talk about a little bit. And so I do. So were you able to talk to any of the locals, or that those excursions was mostly like you
Yeah,
guys
it
did
was
it
most
on your own
of
time?
our guide. So
Okay.
yeah, our guide when we went to the city, they gave
Mm-hmm.
us more of the historical like facts behind like, again the buildings, behind the cultural waves of periods of people. Or I think before it was discovered by Dutch
Mm-hmm.
sailors who had like a lot of Arab um indentured servants or slaves, and they made settlements into Mauritius. So
Okay.
it's very few true indigenous Mauritius
Mm.
peoples on the island. A lot of them migrated from India.
Okay.
Which explains though, which makes sense in terms of like why they speak French and why
Right.
have a lot of Indian and Chinese cultures because a lot
Right.
of them were brought by Portuguese and Arab sailors to kind of settle on the island.
I see. Okay. So that the historical background information allowed it to kind of make sense of what you were seeing.
Yes.
Yes.
There's
I
a
love a good tour. Whenever I go to a country, I'm like, get me on a
yeah,
tour. Like that's one of the first things I like to do 'cause I feel like it just grounds me.
yeah,
And like it makes everything make sense in a like okay, I understand that now because of that historical information I got.
yeah.
So I'm all about it. Yeah. So can you, before, as we're wrapping up, I want you to, I'm really curious about this Zanzibar, Mauritius kind of comparison, and what's your take on that?
Ooh, that's a good question. In my honest opinion,
Yeah.
Zanzibar.
Ooh. Yeah.
Zanzibar, it
Hmm.
really is like a piece of heaven on earth. I'm not, it's just so, I've never seen so many white beaches
Uh-huh.
and like literally crystal clear water. Like, I don't think you understand. It's like they pour a whole bunch of like Fiji water into the ocean.
Oh my
It's
God.
so
That's
clear
good.
and it's so fresh and the food is so good. It's well seasoned. One of the places where the food is well seasoned
Okay.
and the
We
people
want
are
that.
so nice and so sweet and it's just and um there was a lot of like yes there was a lot of Arab influences, but there were also like a lot of like indigenous African people, so that was really cool to see. So I would definitely like, yeah, I'm going to Zanzibar again.
Oh
Um,
yeah, okay.
yeah,
Love it.
it's one of the places I have to go. Yeah, maybe
Yes,
there, but it's gorgeous. Like, but I think you should definitely experience both islands if you can. But
yes.
Zanzibar for me is just it's one of a kind. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Okay. Well, I love it. I do would love to, I would love to go to both, but you know, I feel like there's always this conversation, Zanzibar and Mauritius now coming up on the feed for like the clear water. So I wanted to see what was your feel for it. But you would say Mauritius is a good place for a baby moon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very there's definitely lots of opportunities to explore that are
Mm-hmm.
like people friendly, woman friendly, pregnant friendly. Um,
Yes.
who don't want to be on the beach, like it's nice. But it's also like a lot of experiences you can have as well too. Like again, you can go on a seaplane, you can go hiking, you can go to again the La Baie de Couleuvre. It's
Mhm.
really nice to kind of get both historical and restful experience.
Beautiful. Well, I love that. Thank you for bringing it full circle for us. And we'll be back, y'all, with a quick break and we'll close it out. Welcome back, y'all. We have here Osasu just telling us about her recent baby moon to Mauritius and how wonderful it was, a time of relaxation, but also got some culture, some history, which is really great to have as well. And so I just wanted to give her a moment for her to just share her contact, her website. Where can people follow you and get some of this tea?
um, yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's Sasu underscore love underscore MD. On Facebook, you can follow me Osasu Love. As far as the tea, it's Nomenstra, Nomenstra. And you can also go to the website, nomenstra.com. We can place orders there, or you can just read about the company and the teas in general and see if it's a good fit for your life. I think it is, but you can determine that for yourself. Um, but yeah, and I'm also again I'm part of the YBT, so you guys can definitely hit me up if you have any questions about traveling while pregnant, or in general about my experiences in Mauritius and Zanzibar. And I would
Awesome.
recommend if you want a relaxed or a restful but also cultural experience, Mauritius is a good place to start.
Wonderful. Okay, that leads us right into our last kind of question. I want you to give us a 1 minute, it could be a 30-second to 1 minute pitch for Mauritius. Why go, or not? Why go to Mauritius, that highlight? Go.
Okay. Mauritius is beautiful. It is a cultural uh wonderland. It's a cultural melting pot. If you want a more relaxed version of New York City, you will find it there. It has beautiful white beaches, and it has again the underwater waterfall that you can see, that you should see if you go to
Yes.
Mauritius, and make sure you plan
Mhm.
ahead. Um and yeah, it's definitely it's an eye-opening experience to East Africa.
Wonderful. Love that. You, you did that so well. Love it. Okay. Awesome. All right. So you guys heard it. Go to Mauritius, y'all. Anytime is a great time to go, whatever stage you are as a traveler or your experiences. Do it. Would you recommend it for a solo travel, or do you find it like it would be more couples or group? Like, what would you say?
You know, I think I think it's more better for maybe a group travel than solo travel. Again, just because it's a lot of there's not a lot of like single people there. So it might
Okay.
be harder to kind of like group up with other people if you're not already part of like a travel group. And then again, there's a lot of people that are retired and couples that travel there often. So it can be, I can imagine it could be slightly isolating
Okay.
if you travel there by yourself. But um, again, the people there are very hospitable. They're very nice. Like if you have any questions, they'll be more than willing to help you.
That's I love a friendly
Yeah,
people.
it's very friendly. Very
Yeah.
friendly.
Okay, awesome. And safe, you would say?
Yes. Oh yeah, very safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So grab your group and get a trip going. Go to the group chat, everyone. So I just thank you again, Osasu, for just coming on
Thank you.
and just spending some time with us and sharing your experiences. Remember to follow her and get that tea, ladies, if that's something that you do need. And just a reminder, we just want to just thank before I do the reminders, just thank our guests, everyone for listening to our podcast. And please share, right? You might have a friend who needs travel advice, or they're going to one of the places that we have done a podcast episode on that can be really helpful to them. So share it. We have a ton of episodes on all over the world. So please, just share that, press the share link to your people. And you can always follow us on all social media platforms. And if you have seen our merch and you want it, yes, if you want it, it is pretty nice. We have brown and black planes on it, all of that. I must say, every time I do wear it, somebody is saying, "I love your shirt."
Yes. No,
They love it.
The conversation started. They're like, "Oh, what's
Conversation started.
Wow!" Like it's really, and it's very comfortable.
It's very
comfortable. I can just wear that on the plane, get to the hotel. It's great.
Absolutely, yeah. So conversation starters and just a great looking shirt. So if you want that, please reach out to us. We are on Facebook, Young Black Travelers, TikTok, Young Black Travelers, Instagram, Young Black Travelers blog. Also, the same thing on Threads. And visit our website, www.youngblacktravelers.com. And so thank you again. Be aware when you travel, but have fun. You make sure that you're making good choices, whatever that looks like, and that you be safe. And happy travels. Thank you.
Guys.